Hey guys, welcome back to Mainville ATV and Outdoors, where we do all things all-terrain. Today we are in the shop. We have things to do. The fleet needs maintenance. We have the Renegade and the Maverick. We have stuff to do on both. Full service on one, a few details on the other. I also have a buddy Dave coming over who's going to help me stay motivated and get this done, because I've been slacking. We have axles, we have skid plates, we have oil, spark plugs, you name it. We have a lot going on. We're going to get to it. Okay guys, now's kind of the time. If you're into these videos, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe. It does us a huge favor. What we've got going on today, obviously, full service, pretty self-explanatory. We're going to be doing front diffs, gearboxes, engine oil, whatever's necessary. Spark plugs, belt, these are all kind of semi-standard or standard things, obviously, that you have to do to these machines. Some things are not going to be standard. For example, for the Maverick Sport, I don't know if you knew this, but the entire skid plate underneath is riveted in. As you can imagine, that's kind of annoying if you want to have a look around, maybe clean it out, or service like the prop shaft or whatever. So we're going to be switching that out to nut certs. This is a kit that I bought online, and I probably paid way too much for it, but that's okay. I didn't have to figure it out, so that's what I paid for. On top of that, we have the axles going into the Maverick. If you don't know, they had an issue for a little while where they would click. So you'd go about 100 kilometers in your brand new machine and they'd start clicking. And it gets worse and worse and worse, and it's super annoying. The axles never broke, and they'd probably do another 10,000 kilometers, but I did notice that it was starting to get hot, or hotter than the other axles. I wasn't even necessarily throwing grease or anything like that, but it was getting annoying. So I reached out to Can Am through Pete Sales and Service, my dealer. And they both supported getting me some axles, so they just sent out 4 axles. I don't think that's going to be the case for everyone, but it was a bulletin and they decided to support me, so that's pretty great. We're going to be doing that. The point to all of this is you're going to see timestamps down below. So if there's anything in particular that you want to watch, go ahead, just look down below and you're going to see what you need to see, and then you can just go there and get what you need. So that's awesome. We are going to be working on the Renegade as well. Coolant, clutch cover, and foot pegs. I'm going to be taking off that cool clutch cover. Not that I have any particular issues with it functionally, but it doesn't fit my leg. Like, I can get my foot on the peg and everything and it's all good, but it's not a lot of room when you're getting rowdy. So I find that it actually digs into my shin. So I'm going to be switching that back out to the stock one, and then that'll allow me to put the stock XMR foot pegs on, because I'm a short king and I have to get those higher pegs with more grip. I've just decided I think that's the route to go. It's nothing really against the company. I had no leaks. It works functionally. It just doesn't fit around my leg and it's becoming annoying, so we're going to swap that out as well. So we have a lot of work going on. Like I said, I have a buddy coming to help me get motivated, because I have been ignoring this forever, just getting other stuff done around here, and I've had a couple days off and it's just hard to get back on the grind, so we're going to get to it. I was going to try and do multiple things at once, because I have to do axles as well, and the fill plug is actually on the passenger side, and I may end up jacking this up, taking the tire off, and taking that axle out, and it'll give me a lot of room. The plug is down there. We're going to get underneath and drain this thing. Not that this stuff moves quickly, but oh yeah, she was due. She was due. Oh, that's actually not that bad. It came out real black at first.
At first, yeah. All the creds set up to the bottom.
That's not bad. I'm not getting old. You're getting old, Dave. Before I continue, this is GoPro Dave. If you're wondering who I'm talking to, I'm not crazy. We're just kind of shooting the breeze while I'm working here.
Stronger. But then I came across this video of a guy slapping a turbo on these old low compression. So I saw that and I'm like, this is perfect.
Just like an eBay turbo or what?
Just a cheap eBay turbo.
Okay, so we got all that removed. There's an Allen back there, and it was easier removing the axle. I wouldn't obviously recommend this if you're just trying to do front diff oil. but I have to do axles anyway, so it worked out. So I have their synthetic 7590 here. I'm basically just going to cut the tip. I use a tube. I always keep a bunch of breather tube, and that's usually how I fill it. I was just joking that I wanted to prove that I used a book, but the oil should be level with the bottom of the oil level orifice. So some Can-Ams, they want certain mil in the gearbox, and it's actually less than the oil level port. So make sure you check with your machine, because some are and some aren't, but this one is to the oil fill. Actually, that's really nice. I can see why all the people I apprenticed under wanted flashlights. I had this this one guy I worked for, and he'd always say, "What can you see?" And I'd be looking, because I wanted to impress him, right, with what I learned. I'd look around, what do you see? And I'd say, well, oh, I see this or I see that. I'd make up whatever I could, and he'd go, "You can't see anything, get a flashlight." You know, like, oh, okay. Cups are significantly smaller from the front to back. I never noticed until now. We're not seeing any length differences, so it looks like there's one part number for the rear, one part number for the front. I'll be curious what happens when we pull a rear and see if they're clicking like crazy. A bunch of dirt in there. It might hurt your fingers.
Yeah, it's gonna jam my knuckles.
Try not to.
Oh, that went well.
So we've got front diff filled, axle in. Everything was gone over just to make sure there was no rips and whatever. I didn't see anything obvious. It's pretty, oh, all right. Found a bolt that got to tighten up. But new cotter pins and the whole bit. Okay, so at this point, I've obviously got the front axles in and the front diff done. That was the easier side, so to speak. In the back, on one side, when we do one of the axles, we're also going to have to do a belt. We're going to check on those soft spots. You may have heard in the past I was complaining about a power surge. I thought it was something to do with turbo and an issue that I was having back there, but it wasn't the case. I thought it might have been a tune issue and all these complicated things. I did look at the belt, and at first glance, I didn't see any issues. We're going to take it off today because everyone's telling me that it's a glaze spot, and I believe it at this point. We're going to take it off and take a look at what that actually means, because what's happening right now is on the low end of the power, you'll feel it do one of these. I thought I might have bent an A-arm or a rim, like I had all these ideas, but I never thought of something as simple as the belt. So I've never had this issue before, so it wasn't obvious to me. And in my line of mechanical work, there's no such thing as belts, so I don't have all that much experience with these things until something fails, and then now I know, right? So we're going to have a look at that. On the other side, we have to do the gearbox rear diff, which is one thing. That's going to be the 75-140, the gear oil that we're putting in, and then we have to do the oil change. After that, we're going to follow up with spark plugs and a few other little details, but just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at. Okay, so I've got the belt off, and I'm going to see if I can get this to focus, but I'm not seeing anything overly concerning about this belt. Someone said there'd be glazed spots on the belt, because it was only every once or twice a rotation of this belt, so there is, where is it, one spot that is worn into the band, like the weaved threaded material that's in it. I don't know if I can get this to focus on that. But that's like the only thing I can find. The wear is there. It's a worn belt. It's got plenty of miles and hours on it. Plenty of turbo chooch and a goofball being a goofball. Like, it's either on and off, 1 and 0 with the throttle with me in this thing. So at first glance, I don't see any real issue with this. If there's belt experts out there, if I can get this to focus, I don't know what you guys think, but I'll let you guys have a look and see. But I really don't see anything. I have aftermarket clutches, so I don't have like split two-piece clutch issues or slipping or anything like that. I've never smoked the belt or anything like that. No real ripping or anything, nothing obvious. So anyway, like I said, if you guys know a lot more about belts than me, which is not hard, then have a look and let me know what your opinion is on this kind of thing. Hopefully I can get you a good look at this. I'm going to hold on to this belt in case someone says it's fine and I actually still have a power surge issue, because then it'll just be my bush belt, which I've already got like 6 of. CD! Why is this one seized is my question. Bigger hammer? Oh, that is definitely working. Ta-da! So this is the other rear, and I had to smash it off as well, but it wasn't nearly as bad. And there's no funny blue whatever it was on the last axle either. That's strange. This one's in much better shape. Like, this thing feels brand new. It's kind of got a natural position as to where it lays because of just how it sits in that rear suspension setup, but it's great. Both axles probably could have gone who knows how long, but yeah, these are in great shape. So I'm just going to clean these up. I'll put the last axle in, and that's another job down.
All right, we got a few things left. We're going to continue the full service. So far we've only got the front diff, and I only did that because I was already there doing an axle anyway. But we do have the belt done, and we do have all 4 brand new axles in there. So next we're going to continue by doing the rear diff and the gearbox, which is the exact same thing, which is a fun thing to note. We'll get there in a second. Then we have engine oil and filter, spark plugs and wires, and just check the coolant and a few other little things, but that'll be the full service. And then we're going to get into the skid plate, which will be pretty cool. I'm actually excited for that.
Okay, so we're currently underneath the side-by-side. For reference, there's your A-arm. If you follow it here, you're going to find a drain plug. That drain plug is not only your rear diff, but your gearbox as well, because it's one casing. For future reference, when we do the engine oil, it's literally in the middle, directly underneath the engine, as you'd expect. These are 17 mils. Pull that out, drain it. Same thing as any other fluid. Get her done. Got a fair bit of gunk on the magnet, but nothing to be concerned about, totally normal stuff. Alright, so while that's draining, I got the plug cleaned, and it looks like it's already picking up little metal pieces from putting it down. Brand new washer on that, and while we're waiting for it to drain, you're going to find this dipstick in your gearbox. And that's also a 17 mil, it's plastic. If you have to reef this thing off, just be careful, it is plastic, and don't over tighten it as well. So that dipstick is going to be what determines how much oil you're putting in. So you're basically going to grab the 75 140 or 70 140. You're going to pour that in there. It's actually sharing the oil between these two casings. So with all that done, you can basically just keep adding until you hit the high mark on the dipstick. And obviously make sure your plug is in. I've done that before. And yeah, carry on. They do ask that you pull the speed sensor out as well. I haven't looked. I'm going to assume it's this guy right here, which would make a lot of sense. And I'm assuming they're going to want you to clean that off, so I'm going to have a look at that as well. But yeah, we're going to tighten this up and start pouring it in. When you pull out your dipstick, now that we've got it full, you're going to see two marks. It wants it on the higher mark. Things to consider is that oil is going to get to all of its little holes once you move and run this machine for the first time, so you may want to check this again afterwards. But you're trying to get to the higher of the 2 point on your dipstick. It's kind of a tricky dipstick to get in there, but screw it all the way down, bring it all the way back up, and kind of dodge all the wires and stuff here. But I don't know if you can see that, but I'm exactly on that mark. It took about one of those 75 140 jugs. So at this point, just make sure you got everything tightened down, clean up. What I like to do is clean up any oil that I messed up, you know, got oil and made a mess. Get rid of all that, and that way if you have any leaks, you'll know. All right, so it's time for engine oil, which from the Gearbox is pretty well a straight run. Get some stuff lined up here because I'm sure this one's going to make a mess. But same thing, 17 mil. Back there is where we drop the gearbox and diff, and literally right in front of it, really big access hole right here, 17 mil again. We'll drop that oil. I like to just crack it like that, and then just do it by hand like this, and have a rag ready because you're pretty much always gonna make a mess. Hiya. Not bad. That's looking a little dark. Not the end of the world though. The oil looks pretty good. It was due, but I'm not seeing any surprises. One of the only things that's unique about my machine versus some of the others, like the other Maverick Sports, is I added a turbo to this machine. So the reason why that's relevant to changing engine oil is you'll notice that my dipstick is actually raised. That is to account for how much extra oil I need to run to the turbo and back. So on top of the normal, whatever, 4 quarts it is, I have a 1/5 that I'm going to top it up with, essentially. Before we actually get to adding oil, now that we have it drained, you actually have to do the filter now, which is behind this cover. So you take the seats out, it takes about 2 seconds. You're gonna remove all of these little pop plastic things, and then we're gonna get back there and I'll show you the housing. Okay, with that cover off, a little bit of advice. There is a heat shield on the back side of it, so it's kind of annoying to get from out of your seat. Just push that seat forward and kind of take it out towards that seat and you'll have much better luck. But you can see down there, there's a filter housing. I kind of cleaned it off already. It looks exactly like if you've ever had an Outlander or a Renegade or any other Rotax, like they have that exact same filter design. The location slightly changes depending, but there it is right there. I believe it's 8 mil bolts or Torx. I can't quite remember, but I know there's 3. And there is a seal on the back side of that. You'll pull out a paper filter. It will look like this if you buy it from Can Am. And then, yeah, just slam that in. Make sure you tighten it back up nice and snug. And then we're going to move on to spark plugs, which are conveniently right there as well. There's one on this side and there's one on the opposite side. It's actually on this side of the head, but on the other one. I think the odds are roughly 0 that you guys even see what I'm trying to do here. So there it is right there. I have the last bolt and we're going to pull that off right now, and I'm hoping to get you guys in here somewhere. Oil's going to come out. Looks like the filter's coming with it. There we go. And a mess. In your kit that you buy from Can Am, is if that's the way you go. I personally like these kits because they just have everything you need. If you don't feel that way and you want to do an equivalent oil, just make sure you do your research to know you're getting all the right additives. But we are going to clean out this cap the best we can. We're going to remove the old seal. In your kit with your oil, you're going to see a baggie. In that baggie, you're going to have a new seal, which we're going to put on that cap. You're going to have a new ring for your oil seal or your oil drain plug. And the copper one, I still don't know. I think this might just be an option for a different machine because they run a lot of the same stuff for a variety of their Rotax engines. I'm going to assume this is for a different model. We're going to put this new seal on. I like to give it just a little bit of oil so that it doesn't pinch when you cinch this back down. Just anything so that it doesn't grab an edge, because where you're putting this cap in is not the easiest spot to work, so you need to increase your odds of success, I find. When you put the new filter in, it goes seal towards the engine. So this seal is actually going to have a spot inside where it rests, and you can put this in first and then just put the cap on top, and you'll be all set. That way oil goes in and out of this filter the way it's designed to and filters the oil. That's the idea. So let's get this installed, literally the opposite as you can imagine. Take your time. If it doesn't feel right, redo it as the rule. I've got it all in, tightened down. Everything's hunky-dory, but I left a bit of a mess. So we're just gonna give it the old juice here. Try to wipe things down. That's pretty good. If you work for a shop, use twice as much. So when you look at your kit for oil, when you buy this, it's going to come with, I believe, oh yeah, 2 of these, which are, how much is this? 1 quart, basically a liter, and it'll come with this little guy. And you usually use about 95% of it, but because I have a turbo that has oil requirements, I have a little bit extra, and basically we're going to fill this thing and constantly check on it to make sure that it's in the right spot on the dipstick. Funnel's ready to go, drain plug's in, sorted out, new seal. Same with inside, new filter, seal, the whole shebang, it's all tightened up. It's ready for oil, and then once we get it where we want it, we're basically going to run it. It'll probably fill a few houses, nooks and crannies, and we might have to make an adjustment from there, but that's what we're going to do next. All right, let's talk spark plugs. Very easy maintenance item, but on this machine, it's going to be basically impossible to show you the actual process. Now, it's time for me to change these just by mileage, essentially. We're going to inspect the ones that come out, but when you're looking at a Can Am with a twin like this, you're going to find 1 spark plug on one side and 1 spark plug on the other. They're opposite of each other. So one is easily accessed by the passenger side rear tire, and the other one is accessed through the same hole you do the engine oil filter. So I can show you where those are, but the process for changing out the wires that I have here, that's a little more complicated and takes some digging. Like I said, it's going to be essentially half impossible to show you guys changing those out. So we're just going to talk about where the plugs are, and you can get adventurous on that. But the process is very simple. One tip when you're pulling these out, they are very, very fragile. Okay, so when you're pulling these out, if you're feeling like they're going to snap, take all precautions you possibly can, because digging one of these out of an engine block is annoying. Okay. So just take your time, okay, and pull these out, and make sure you're on it, and you're on it well. The ceramic that's on this end, when that shatters, is a nightmare. And if that somehow gets into places where it shouldn't, you're going to be in for a bad day. So I said I'd show you where the spark plugs are. You can see one at the top of the head there. This is the one from the passenger rear tire. For the other one, it's on the direct opposite side. So again, this is great to do while you're doing engine oil, because you're going to be doing the filter right down there anyway. So now it's time to dig those wires out, and there's a 0% chance that I show you where those are routed, because it's basically impossible with all the stuff in the way. So yep. Okay, so on this list, we're doing pretty good here.
we've got the full service complete. From front to back, we have every fluid redone except for the coolant. The coolant I topped off, that's very easy. If you're looking for it, it's in your box. There's a little door, you open that up and it's right there. Added a little bit of coolant there, but otherwise, literally everything has been done. We have spark plugs, wires, front diff. We did the rear diff and gearbox, engine oil and filter, of course. We did all 4 axles while we were at it because we were conveniently there. And yeah, touched on quite a few things. So at this point, I just have to torque the wheels and basically take it for a spin and just triple check everything, and that'll make me feel pretty good. Otherwise, the only thing we have left on the Maverick is the skid plate. So again, to reiterate, if you don't know, the skid plate on these things are riveted in. Behind that skid plate is where you hold a ton of mud and dirt and grime and you can never access it. There's also a drive shaft that goes to your front diff. There's a few other things. There's no real maintenance items per se, but there's a lot of stuff that I would love to get in there and clean out a lot better. So I hate to drill out all these rivets and just slam new rivets in there. So what I'm going to do is drill them out, and we're going to put in riv nuts, which will allow me to bolt the actual skid plate back in. So there's a front, rear, and center skid plate. We will only be doing this to the center skid plate because it's the only one we have to do. That'll give us full access to pretty well everything we could ever imagine. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to get started with that. I have never installed a riv nut, so we're going to learn together. So bear with me, be patient, we're gonna get her done. But first, we have to get about 60 frickin' rivets out and drill those out. So at this point, I'm pretty tired already, to be completely honest with you, but we're gonna get her done in this video. Okay, so we are going to get started with changing out all of the rivets on my skid plate for the Maverick with these riv nuts. This is a kit that I bought, and it's not sponsored, by Warranty Killer Performance. It's just the first kit that I found that was reasonable. It comes with a full bag of everything you need. What you're going to see here is the part number, so take that down if this is what you're looking for. It's called the Can Am Maverick Sport Trail Skid Plate Rivet to Bolt Conversion Kit for a 2-seater. I'm assuming they make a 4-seater one as well. It comes with everything that you're going to need minus the actual riv nut tool. I asked them about that, and they recommended this cheap one on Amazon. Cheap is relative, it's up to you. They said this will get the job done, it's what they use, so great, that's what I will use as well. It comes with directions. I've never used one of these. I'm guessing the idea is it literally squinches it in, and then you have a place to bolt something. This comes with a bunch of like tool and die sets for different sizes, whatever size riv nut you're putting in for your bolt. On the directions, it says to have a 3/8 and 3/16 drill bit. I only have one 3/8, so hopefully I don't need more than that, but I have a bunch of 3/16. They want a 4mm Allen. They wanted a flapper wheel, but I don't actually have one for my grinder, so we're just going to use a cookie on a die grinder here. And obviously a drill and some blue Loctite. The first step I'm going to do is go under there and literally drill out all of those rivets. I will take you with me. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. That was a lot of work. That was a ton of work, man. Seriously. I think there's like 82 rivets, and I've only done the center bit, which I have to say is the hardest. The front and the rear, that's nothing compared to this. But yeah, be prepared. You're gonna need a lot of bits. If you have cheap bits like I do, then you're gonna run through them. The 3/16 for sure. Make sure you have, well, I went through 4 of them. But I got a little impatient there near the end. And something that I forgot is the XRCs and the XMRs from this era, they already came with like a rocker guard here. The way those are integrated into the skid plate is beyond what the lower models had. So
you have to drill those out as well. And the difficult part is I made it worse. I added these aftermarket steps and basically everything was in my way. I'm working my way around that, and I guess I'm gonna have to riv nut those now as well. And I'm trying to do it without removing these because the way these are installed is very difficult to take them off. So we'll see how this works out. That, I'm not even close to obviously being done, but the next portion now is to chisel all of the remainder, because there's going to be a bunch of kind of, we'll call them the male end of the rivet still in the frame. So you're going to have to punch those out. And then once you do, you either punch them in the frame or you punch them out if you can. Otherwise they might be rolling around in there forever. And that's when we can start doing the nut certs and stuff. I'm willing to bet that there's dirt from every province between here and Ontario all the way to British Columbia. I have ridden all over the country in this machine. I can only imagine where some of this dirt's from. I'll bet you there's some Rocky Mountains, there's some Flin Flon, Manitoba mining dust, there's some prairie in there, plenty of Ontario. I'm just trying to get ahead here because I made a freaking mess down there. So I'm just going to clean this up and then see what the bottom looks like. But the way this is going, I may have to, I don't know, carry on a different day because this is taking way more time than I thought. Let's crawl under here. You're going to see all of these holes that I drilled out and the rivets that are still in them. We're going to take a little pry bar that has a striking end, and we're going to try and smash those off. Inevitably, part of that rivet is going to end up in the frame. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. But we have to clean and prep these and then drill them out to 3/8 and get them ready for the nut certs. So I have a lot of hammering to do, but as you can see, I can now get to and check the back of the diff, cooling lines. Here's a hanger bearing. A lot of these machines have issues with hanger bearings, more so the 4-seaters than anything. There's a known vibration issue, especially in the 4-seaters. I've never had it, but it is possible. So you're going to see all these coolant lines and the backside of pipes. Like, this is the access that I wanted. Some people can argue, like, why do you need access until something's broken? I feel ya, but inevitably I'm going to be doing this job if something breaks under here. So I don't mind some extra shop time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the day is over. I broke the tool. So I was figuring this thing out, and it's better as a microphone right now than a tool. My Amazon special failed me. Who would have saw that coming? So I figured out how it works, and obviously I did a poor job of making it work. So what essentially you have is this tool literally just kind of squeezes something. And the something that I needed to squeeze was an M6. So you put an M6 riv nut on the threads and you squeeze it and it cinches it down on whatever material you're trying to install it on. So I tested one right here and I turned it into a bullet because for shipping reasons, I'm guessing this thing was absolutely maxed out, and I He-manned it closed and it launched it pretty well across the shop. It took me the last probably 25 minutes to find this thing. So now I have it, and I broke the M6. Now, as you can imagine, the kit only comes with one of these for each size. So I went back on Amazon and I wanted to see if I could get a replacement. Talking to this company, I can't figure out how to contact them in any way. They're basically a giant mystery. Of course, this stuff is from China, and that's just the way it works. So I did find an M6 replacement tool from another company, and it looks identical. And if you've spent any time on the internet buying cheap stuff, you know that it all comes from the same place and people just put their sticker on it. So I found one for $17. I bought two of them because odds are I might break another and then I'd be in this scenario again. But that basically comes out to 2/3 of the cost of buying a whole another one of these, which is very annoying, but hey, it's the cost of being cheap. That's just the way she goes. So the skid plate is not getting installed in this video, but all I have left now is to drill the 3/8 holes, basically ream them out, and install these nuts, and then I basically just throw it on, so it's all good. So it is going to go on the back burner. You will get an update in a later video, but I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that. So as you can see, It's broken off in there. So where you thread the riv nut, focus, is broken. So that is just the way she goes. Well, I just got back from a quick spin in Mexico. Took the Maverick out there real quick. It's getting cold out there this time of year. And I just wanted to make sure everything was working good. Everything feels brand new, as you can imagine. There's also that feeling, I don't know if you've ever done it, where you do an oil change on something and you take it for a spin and you're like, wow, this feels good, you know? But nothing's actually changed. Yeah, got it out there, made sure everything was functioning. I like to take it for a spin, just mostly so I can get everything sat into its place, make sure everything actually works, I don't have any leaks, get things to temp, make sure all the fluids are actually in the right spot. You know, all the obvious stuff. And by the time I get back, I usually do a retorque of the tires, in this case 74 foot-pounds, according to the manual. I leave it, let it sit, watch for leaks again. Yeah, that way I can kind of double, triple check. I've had it in the past where I've had tires come off and things like that. It's very rare for me, but it does happen. So I try to do my best to make sure I'm not that guy. We're going to be moving on to this, obviously, because I can't finish the skid plate, and that kind of sucks. But as you can imagine, it's literally drill out the holes, put in the nutserts, and slam it back on, which would have been cool to show you guys, but the majority of the work is done. It's going to take a little bit of fan dangling to get it all done. And I was kind of looking at the skid plate. I really don't think I need to install 82 of those things. I probably will. But if you're really looking at it, you only need a couple in the front. The ones in the center are probably the most useful. There's 4 at the pivot point. And then, you know, a couple at the back. So the side, the gray rocker rails, whatever you want to call them, those also hold it in. So you're going to have plenty in there. I don't think it's going to make the difference to put the other 800 of them. So something to consider for you. Just pay attention to the next shop video. I'll probably just slam it in there or update you guys on another video. For now though, we're going to move on. We've got the Renegade. I'm just putting the battery back in right now because I was troubleshooting some electrical issues. I went out to do a Finntrail shoot and then all of a sudden this thing just wouldn't start. So couldn't figure it out. We towed it back in here. And turns out it wasn't the solenoid like I thought it was. Although when I was checking some of the wiring, it was loose. So I have a feeling I was having like an intermittent issue that I was just trying to chase down and I wasn't finding. But my buddy came over and we were joking like, oh, maybe we should tap the starter and see what happens. And sure enough, it fired right up. And it still does. So I have a feeling water was getting in. And it might have just kind of seized up a little bit in there. So I'll have to keep an eye on that in the next couple rides. For now, however, make sure those are snug. We're gonna fill up the coolant, which isn't gonna take much, but you gotta be careful because with these rad kits, your highest point is now way higher than where you fill the coolant. So if you have to burp it, you actually have to release the pressure at the top up there to let the air out. So I don't suspect we're going to run into that issue, but it is something to keep in mind that the fill point is significantly lower than the actual highest point. So we're going to put some coolant in. I've got some Can Am stuff. I'm pretty sure last time I topped it up with water, so I'm going to have to be careful with that. Probably put some more of this in. And then we're going to get onto that clutch cover. I don't necessarily have an issue with the clutch cover. I know whatever brand makes it, AM Customized, I believe. They sent that out and I rode it for a long time. My only issue with it is my big fat calf rubs on the side of it, and the OEM case on the secondary side slims down, so I fit much nicer. That's literally the only reason I'm gonna go back to the other one. When you're just riding around casually, it's fine, but when you get rowdy, that thing digs into my calf and it sucks. So it's gonna suck that I'm losing it because it has some pretty cool colors and stuff, but it takes up too much room on the secondary side. I hope in the future they can kind of slim it down like the OEM one on that side. And when we do that, it's gonna leave more room for me to put the OEM foot pegs back. Farm Mudding makes these floorboards and they do a killer job, but their foot pegs are pretty lackluster. The OEM ones are sick, and plus, because I'm a short king, I need a little bit of kind of like stilts in your shoes, you know what I mean? So I think that'll that combo will do a lot better, so we're gonna swap that out. I've had no issues with it. Other than that, people used to complain about them leaking and stuff. Mine's never leaked, so I don't know. But yeah, let's switch that out, get some coolant in this thing, slap it all together, and then the fleet is back in order. Got a bit of Can Am funny fluid. I don't know if it's proprietary stuff, but it is XPS. So, not that Can Am's gonna reinvent coolant, but we do have their coolant. This thing needs to be topped up pretty good. See how much we actually need. You're not adding coolant if you don't spill some. Them's the rules. Oh, definitely. She was thirsty. Not much, but she was thirsty. We'll put her right about there. Right about there. One of the best things I ever added to this shop. I mean, come on. That's freaking nice, hey? Pull this off, take the seal out. That seal is actually the OEM seal in this case. They just reused it from the OEM side. So we'll have a look at that, re-grease it, and then I'll slam the stock cover on. That kind of thing. I don't know, maybe we'll put that up on the wall or a shelf or something in the office. Kind of feel like we should look at it one more time before she goes. It's all customizable with an app. You can make it all do crazy stuff, but I'm a one-trick pony and I like red. Sue me. I don't know if this is going to come off with... Oh, would you look at that? Would you just look at that? So one of the things that I do to not have any issues with this case in particular is I put general purpose grease on that seal. And the only thing that gets in my cases ever is from the snorkels. So I'll get like belt debris and whatever stuff can climb through or fall through the snorkel pipes, that kind of thing. But that's basically the only stuff I've ever had get into my belt box. So we're gonna get this in, and as you can see, the secondary is behind here and there's a lot more room right there. It's just enough for my calf to basically never have an issue. And then what we're gonna do is, these are the Farm Mudding floorboards and they came with these little guys. And I don't know if they had an option to go bigger or not, but what I'm gonna do is chop these up so I can get these in. I don't think it's gonna take much. I'll probably cut this side and then that way this fits in there, but you have to make sure to get the holes to line up and everything, so maybe it's the other one. For whatever reason, one's very round and one's very flat. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if that was an OEM choice or what. But yeah, I think I can get these in and that'll be much nicer. Because they're probably 3 times the height at least. And I'm short, so. So I had a look at both of them, and basically there's differences between both sides. This side obviously has the clutch cover. It technically has more room. The other side has the brake lever, so you actually have less room because there's a lever right here. So I wanted to cut them the same. I wanted them the same, and I took the curve out of the other one too. I smashed it flat. So now they're exactly the same, and I'm happy with that. For this side, I'm gonna have to drill a little bit by the looks of things to make sure they're the same. But yeah, as you can tell, it's a significant difference for us short kings to be using one of these. Fire hot. Fire hot. Oh, this is where I get stuff in my eyeballs. Been there and done that. Mint. That one was 100% cross-threaded, but because I use the same nut, tight is tight, you know what I mean? Oh, okay, what do we got here? We have full service on the Maverick. We did that. Spark plugs is part of that, but we also did that. We do have the new belt. We do have the new axles. Skid plate, not done. The hard part's done, but waiting on stuff. Needs stuff for this one. Renegade Coolant, that was easy. Clutch cover, 2 seconds. Foot pegs, took a little modification, a little massaging. We got her done. But that is basically it for the maintenance. And the reason why I went so hard on these two machines, going over them, I also did some grease and some coolant and some like other stuff that you guys just didn't see in the video. You know, a little once over, you know, check frame for cracks and stuff like that. Stuff that I like to do. Not overly necessary, I suppose. But I'm also going to take the Renegade for a little rip down in Mexico and make sure she's dialed in because she's going on a ride next. The Maverick isn't, which is fortunate because it doesn't have a skid plate right now. So we'll put that on the back burner. I wanted to get all these dialed in for the next season, even though it's winter coming. I will be riding them in the winter, but we're going to have some more machines in here. I didn't want the work to pile up, so all of this stuff had to get out of the way. So fortunately, once I clean up the disaster this garage is, we're going to be all said and done. So listen, thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it to this point. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to guess like 40 minutes or something crazy. I hope you enjoy this kind of stuff. I plan on getting out on some rides, of course. That's why we're doing this, so you're going to see some ride videos coming soon. We're also going to do some like smaller videos where we just talk about some of the basics or answer some questions, or you know, maybe I can give some insight on something, whatever. So there's going to be some light ones mixed in instead of these long ones. I'm excited to get on a ride. We're going to go hanging out with the Kettle Creek folks and extended family as they are. I don't know where we're going or what we're doing. I think the rumor is Johnstown. So Johnstown in December is going to be a muddy, cold disaster. So I'm never excited about those until I get there. I have a lot of fun, but then the cleaning afterwards, a nightmare. Anyway, we have all sorts of projects that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, and that sucks. But just know that things are coming. Things are in the pipeline. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing, all of that stuff. If you're not subscribed and you're this far into the video, consider it. You know, stick around a while. Give me a shot. Try a couple more videos. We're going to do some stuff, some fun things. And for the members, thank you so much for contributing. I appreciate that. That's the best way to contribute to the channel. Watching ads, of course, is one way, but if you guys, for the price of a coffee all the way to a Big Mac, you can directly support me and what we do here, and all of that money goes directly back into the channel to make entertainment better, or continue for that matter. So consider that. We also have merchandise on mainvilleatv.ca/shop. You can go there, buy yourself a sweater, a hoodie, whatever you'd like if you want more return for your money. And I appreciate you guys. So we'll see you guys next time.